On the last episode of NieR Gestalt. Grandma Weiss does not engage in meaningless conversations. The mere suggestion that Weiss chose his words carelessly seemed to sting his pride. It does not seem to sting my pride, you bloated gasbag of narrator. It has demolished it utterly. Irritated, Weiss looked skyward as if searching for answers in the heavens. I was doing no such thing. Just leave me alone already. The anger created by his harsh words bled over to NieR like a contagion. And now, back to sexy talking voice man. NieR's mood darkened as he trudged through the forest. Hours earlier, when the beauty of the place was still a new thing, he'd been confident that they could get in, find the exit, and be home in time for dinner. But the deeper they went, the more the forest closed in around him. The mist made it difficult to see more than a foot in any direction, and moss-covered rocks seemed determined to twist his ankle. More than once he'd been forced to steady himself on the rough bark of a tree, and his hands now left his small trails of blood on everything he touched. Additionally, Weiss was proving to be a spectacularly poor traveling companion, unhindered by either terrain or physical effort. He spent most of his time urging NieR to pick up the pace and grumbling about their slow progress. Finally, after Weiss muttered something about legless turtles being more adept at navigating the environment, NieR snapped. You know what, Weiss? He cried. Go to hell. We're stopping. I need a rest for a few minutes before I throw up. NieR leaned against the tree and tried to stretch the knots from his back. How can this stupid forest be so goddamn big? He muttered to himself. The moment the words tumbled from his mouth, a cacophony of insects sprang to life. As if infuriated by his lack of respect, every imaginable form of buzz, click, and hiss roared out with a volume that rattled his teeth. NieR slapped his hands over his ears and screamed to be heard. Weiss, what the heck is going on? NieR could see Weiss's mouth moving, but he might as well have been shouting in a tornado. The insects screamed, the forest howled, and then just as NieR's ears seemed ready to tear from his head and go running for cover, the sound diminished. Hesitantly, NieR removed the hand from his left ear and listened to the creatures of the woods. Zree, 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 zree. I'm not going to do that. As the insectectomy dimmed another decibel, NieR began to detect patterns in the sound. This isn't random, he thought. It's not just white noise, it's something else. The insects weren't just calling out, they were asking a question. 1 with it suffers, 2 with it's ideal, 3 with it is dangerous, what is it? By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so, that kind of thing happens a lot in dreams, right? Maybe it's the key to getting out of this place. Then I leave it to you to answer. 1 with it suffers, 2 with it is ideal, 3 with it is dangerous, what is it? Oh, yeah, it is a secret. If one person has to keep it, it's a suffer. 2 of them have it's perfect because now 2 people can share that secret. 3 with it, that's when it starts to spread. Inwardly furious that Weiss has left the task to him, NieR sighed and gave the only answer that made sense. It's a secret. Alright. The sound of insects stopped, and suddenly as it began, the forest undergrowth parted before NieR like a rippling wave opening a new path. These forest anthropons are making a road for us, said Weiss with a glee. Pleased at the passing test, NieR moved on with a new intensity. What the heck is going on? The path offered his body relief from the undergrowth, but it gave even greater cheer to his mind. As long as they were on a path, their journey had a purpose. I guess the forest just accepted us, huh? Said NieR after a bit. Weiss spun around to face his companion. Do not mistake the will of this forest for some happy pet you can suddenly befriend. We have no idea where this path leads. As Weiss finished speaking, the pair turned a corner and found themselves facing a clear forest spring. Smiling, NieR picked up the small rock and sent it skipping across the surface of the water. Good heavens, said Weiss. His surprise was understandable. Each time the rock struck the surface of the water, a musical note rang out. When the rock finally stopped moving and sank to the bottom of the spring, the ripples it left behind came together to form words. I enter through the window, but I break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? Absurdly easy, barked Weiss. No answer. NieR grit his teeth and he tried not to reach out and strangle his companion. He's right after all, this one's pretty easy. I enter through the window, but I break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? Sunlight. A bird. Sunlight. A plume of water suddenly burst out from the spring. The sunlight filtered through the trees and reflected off the plume, creating a shimmering rainbow that spanned the entire horizon. In all my years, said Wife softly, I have never seen such a sight. Perhaps I have misunderstood the intentions of this place. Hey, look, cried NieR, awaking Weiss from his daze. There's a house or something over there. Wow, I did not expect this just to be a reading session. I'm sorry, guys. You guys gotta deal with this for a little bit. Glancing in the direction of his friend's extended hand, Weiss saw a small cottage nestled among the trees. That's weird, isn't it, Weiss? I mean, who would build a house all the way out here? NieR walked over and pounded on the door. After a minute of solid banging, the door cracked open and a small man peered out. His body was cloaked from neck to toe in a large black cape, although his face was obscured by mist. Began NieR, but before he could get any further, the cloaked man held a hand up and began speaking. I have 4 legs in the morning, and 2 at noon, but I end the night with 3. What am I? NieR tried to ask the cloaked man who he was and what he was doing there, but he simply repeated the question. If we wish to engage this man in conversation, said Weiss, it seems we must answer this riddle. Yeah, I suppose so, said NieR. Well, at least it's an easy one. That one's easy. Man. I know that one because I look at D&D riddles all the time. A man. The mist dissolved from the cloaked figure as he spoke a single word. Correct. With that, the man flung his guardman aside, revealing his true identity. You're the mayor, cried NieR. The small man slowly shook his head. I am not the mayor you know. Now listen to my words. Long ago I saw a version of you that was not yourself. You saw... Wait, what? I'm sorry, I don't quite understand a thing you just said. It will make sense in time. At present, I simply congratulate you on cracking the seal of the Death Dream. Now you must go to the man at the forest entrance. With that, the man turned on his heel and slammed the door behind him, as NieR watched mist seeped up from the ground and enveloped the cottage, erasing it from existence. When NieR and Weiss returned to the forest entrance, they found the mayor leaning against a tree. As soon as he caught the sight of the duo, he sprang to his feet and scrambled over to them. Good gravy, he cried. You made it! You actually made it back! His left hand grasped NieR's and pumped it so fiercely it threatened to dislodge it from the socket, while his right seized Weiss by the cover and swung him through the air. Oh my god. God, by the heavens, stop shaking me, fool! We have not even told you if we were successful or not. The mayor smiled broadly and shook his head. I'm just happy you're alive. I didn't think I'd ever get to see you again. NieR withdrew himself from the mayor's eager handshake with a smile. We broke the Death Dream's seal, he said. At least I think we did. The mayor's face beamed as NieR filled him in on the details. When the tale was done, the 3 of them laid down in the forest ground and fell asleep. Wait a second. That's crazy. Why would we just lay down and go to sleep? This is one heck of a story. Cease your endless prattle and go to sleep, fool. Fighting against the rules of this place is futility itself. NieR and the mayor obediently reclined atop the grassy earth. Have you forgotten, continued Weiss, it is words that control the Death Dream, words that allow us to move from place to place. No matter how unnatural they may seem, the words are absolute. Therefore, if the words tell us to sleep, then sleep we shall. And once we do, the story will continue. With that, the trio found their eyes growing heavy, their breaths slowing. This is the first time, began the mayor, the first time I've ever felt tired since I was imprisoned here. His words were cut off by a loud, long yawn, and he remembered nothing more. They might have slept for an hour or a year. When they awoke, things had slightly more real quality to them. The mist felt thicker, the leaves greener. It was clear that they had awakened from their dream. NieR shook the mayor's shoulder gently. Good news, he said. We made it. Oh, wow, said the mayor in an odd voice. We did. I'm back. He blinked once, twice, and as though not quite believing the sight before him. You two have no idea how much this means. The Death Dream had started to spread through our village, and I wanted to. Well, I thought I could figure out how to stop it, but I guess that wasn't the case. I must have caught the disease and become trapped in my own dream. The mayor started to stand, then collapsed back to the earth. He stared at his legs as if trying to remember how they worked, then glanced at NieR and shrugged. Without a word, the fighter reached down and pulled the mayor to his feet. Real life may take some getting used to. A wry smile crossed the mayor's lips. You shall relearn in short order, I'm sure, said Weiss. For now you should return to your home and rest. No, said the mayor, swaying on his unsteady feet. No, I can't. Holy crap, this is a lot of reading. Some of the villagers are still trapped in the death dream. I have to save them. The mayor slowly made his way to the divine tree in the center of the village, then bowed his head and prayed silently. This is a holy tree, he explained when the prayer was finished. It is the guardian of our village's history and of memories. Superstition will not only make our mission harder, muttered Weiss. We should not put our faith in the gods. The mayor shook his head. Not the gods, the words. Legend says that our tree is the home to a powerful magic known as a sealed verse. NieR and Weiss could not contain their surprise. It seemed a gold had been found in the most unexpected of places. I say, muttered Weiss, this is certainly a stroke of luck. As the three of them said their goodbyes, NieR mentioned the strange man who had given them the third riddle and the mysterious words he had left with them. I once saw a version of you that was not yourself, muttered the mayor. What in the world? Lost in thought, he stared in space for a long moment. You know, he said softly, this is going to sound weird, but I had a feeling I'd seen you before, too. NieR tried to keep a straight face and failed, but the mayor didn't seem to notice. Deja vu, right? Anyway, I figure this is some kind of illusion created by the death dream. Probably doesn't mean anything. NieR gave the mayor a nod and a smile, but inwardly his thoughts were racing. There's something wrong about the mayor and his words. I wish I understood what the heck was going on here. That riddle would prove to be the most difficult one of all. Oh, thank you so much. Now I can finally return to normal life. This is one of the most bizarre diseases I've ever encountered. I know, that's why I have to help the other villagers no matter what. Oh, okay. Summon magical spikes from the ground to impale enemies, charged to increase the number of spikes. Okay, well. For a sealed verse, that didn't take much effort. Yes, all a touch too easy if you ask me. It's almost as if someone was guiding us to this village. You'd think too much, Weiss. Alright, so we gotta save everybody, I suppose. Just gonna break that. That's all mine. Take it. Okay. This must be another person infected by the death dream. Oh, well, must be another person infected by the death dream. It would appear that way, yes. Alright, we're entering the dream. Gods, please don't tell me we have to go back in there. I'm not good at this mind game crap. I'd rather hit something in the face and be done with it. Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission. Yeah. Oh, more reading. Oh. I breathe air scented with death and resist the urge to laugh, for I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My prison is tucked under a stairway in the long unused catacombs of some infinite castle. Outside I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that seems without end. Light has no place here. Wind has a forgotten friend. I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes, an eternity slips by in a single tick of the clock. Someone knocks on my prison. Hey, anyone there? I hear an unfamiliar voice say, my savior. I claw at the door of my jail, embedding thick splinters under my rugged nails. I scream for help. I laugh, I sob. Surely this is a product of my adult mind. Surely it cannot be true. Help me, I cry. For the love of all the gods, help me. Impossibly, I hear the sound of a lock being torn out and falling to the floor. As the door slowly cracks open, I have just enough time to see a silver-haired man in a floating book before the light pours inside me. My eyes, accustomed to the dark blackness, explode with pain, and I am forced to turn away. Who are you, I ask, shaking hands covering my face. How have you come to this place? I am Gunvar Weiss. This is NieR. Long have we been searching for you. Now come, stand. We shall awaken from this nightmare together. The one known as NieR extends his massive hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to freedom, my ears are as keen as ever, and they recognize the staccato sounds of heavy rain. I never thought to hear the rain again, I whisper. Would that this were not such a terrible storm, said Grimar Weiss. Look at your feet. I force my eyes open and see water pooling around my feet and lapping my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and more comes each moment we delay. If we do not make our escape, we shall all drown in this castle. We know that you are weak, but you are our only hope to survive this place. Time, that long-forgotten friend, made itself known again. I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers, no matter the cost. The castle catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like the endless entrails of a giant. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. Do I have a choice? Okay. At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds resting atop a carpet of velvet. All are covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. Searching for the door to the next room, I came upon a shapeless mass of grey matter. It had been shoved against the side of a wall, and despite my fever, I think I see the outlines of the door just beyond. When I reach out a finger and touch the piece of this mass, it turns into dust and drifts away from the wind. Realization slowly dawns, and I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbly corpses. I look from it to the beds and back again until the horror dawns full upon me. Someone has just piled these bodies into a tower and set them ablaze. Whether they were alive or dead, I do not know, and sanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound, whether scream or laughter I cannot be certain, and my mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving that most terrible of rooms. I squint down the dim corridors. East. West. South. And proceed north. Okay, that was obviously not. East. North. West. At the end of the path, a row of heavy, wooden casks lie on their sides in a dark chamber. Doubtless they are filled with wine. I don't know how I know. It's probably my imagination working me out. My thirst roars to life. I cannot remember the last time my parched throat had relief. I scramble to the first cask and pull frantically at the cork. The theft of a few cups means nothing, I tell myself. The cask will be ruined by the flood regardless. Finally, the cork surrenders to my attack, and thick red liquid bursts forth from the hole. This is no wine. It is blood still warm from the body, whether animal or something else I cannot say. The foul liquid soon mixes with the rising floodwaters, creating a warmth that laps against my thighs. By all the gods, are the rest of these casks filled with blood as well? I lack the courage to confirm my suspicion. Disgust quickly becomes fear as I return to flee, but my weakened legs betray me, sending me toppling over into the red ocean below. The smell of death is everywhere. It threatens to consume me. I must escape this hell. Crawling on all fours like an animal, holding back screams lest any foulness enter my mouth, I lurch forward through the red waters and out of the room to freedom. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed east. The water has risen to my chin, and now laps greedily at my mouth and nose. "You dumb shouts NieR. He surely desires to say more, but the rest of his insult is cut short by the rising water. Grimoire Weiss, wet and tattered, floats on the water's edge. Surface. It is already too late for them. This wasn't how it was supposed to end. Really? Seriously? What? Are you freaking serious? Oh, what? I have to seriously start this entire village over. Okay, so obviously he's freed. Oh man, we have to do this to a lot of people, don't we? Only 2, it seems. Alright, well, I'm gonna end this here for now, guys. I will come back to this later when I have a little bit more energy. I've been recording all day since like 10 o'clock, so I do need to take a little bit of a rest for myself, get ready for the end of the day, and maybe I'll record a little bit more at the end. But yeah. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more. Let me know what you thought of me narrating that much. I know it was a bit of a slow couple episodes. These next 2, but this next one's going to be very slow just because that's the entire process of doing it. But let me know how you think about it. I really do need that. And it really does help me out. Anyways, guys, au revoir, ladies and gentlemen. Au revoir.